Just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, you're ready to begin.
Okay. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Trustee Cheney,
Here.
Trustee Lindberg,
Here.
Mayor Newhart,
Here.
Trustee Bachman,
Here.
Trustee McManus.
I'm here.
So this is a village board meeting, October 4th, 2021, pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, permitting local governments to hold meetings remotely and take such actions authorized by law without allowing the public to be physically present at the meeting due to safety concerns related to the Delta variant of COVID-19. The Village of Warwick Village board meetings will be conducted virtually through Zoom video conference until further notice or until the expiration of the law on January 15th, 2022. To view the meeting, the public may view the meeting live on the Village of Warwick, New York's YouTube channel. And also the public may view the meeting a day or so after its completion by going to the village's website, villageofwarwick.org. To comment during privilege of the floor only, comments may be sent to the village board prior to the village board meeting via email to clerk@villageofwarwick.org or mail Village of Warwick, attention Village Clerk, Post Office Box 369, Warwick, New York, 10990. Please indicate in your correspondence that you wish to have your comments read during privilege of the floor. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of September 20th, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $178,874.36.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have two presentations this evening. The first is a presentation from the Village of Warwick's Recreation Director, Ron Intruini, on the 2021 Summer Recreation Recap. And the second presentation will be the Warwick Lions Club, who will present the concept of a pump track. So let's start out with Ron. And is he available?
Yep, I'm gonna let him in right now.
Okay. Hey, Ron.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So if you wouldn't mind giving your report to the board, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, first off, I'd like to just thank you guys for allowing me to speak about how we prepared and implemented our plan for the summer rec program. It was a long process, and we started it in January of 2021 because in 2020 we did not have any of the rec programs due to COVID. We put together a plan and submitted it for village board approval, and everything got approved. So pretty much we just needed to prepare for anything and everything, and I think we did. I spoke with a lot of different local rec directors from Pine Island, Florida, and we did a lot of brainstorming on ideas of how we can make this safe for the kids. We created a rec website for registration, which was very beneficial. And then it also gave us an opportunity to notify the parents of specific Department of Health mandates, which we kept updating to keep everybody in a loop. We ordered a lot of cleaning supplies, hand sanitizers, antibacterial wipes, masks, spray to clean the equipment. And pretty much basically our number one goal was to have a safe environment. We had to limit the number of participants for less exposure for the kids and try and keep kids into smaller groups instead of larger groups. Also, we were prepared for contact tracing if needed to be and quarantine procedures for staff and kids. And I created a daily screening online form, and we're going to do daily temperature checks. And at that point, masks were recommended that everybody wear them for all the programs, even inside and out. And then also we had to do daily records of who was where with who and at each time. And then 2 weeks before the start of our program, the Department of Health reduced the guidelines. They got rid of the daily screening form, the temperature checks, and then they said masks were optional. So that kind of made everybody a little bit more at ease, which was better. And then I just updated the website to let the public and the parents know of the most recent mandates. And then our program started on June 28th, and it went for 5 weeks until July 30th. Throughout the summer, we had 747 children registered in our programs and 55 staff members. We did not have any reported positive cases, and we didn't have to quarantine anybody. So I think right there, that was a huge success. The kids used hand sanitizers before and after all their programs, and we did a daily cleaning of the equipment throughout all the programs. We had to keep accurate attendance records, once again, for contact tracing. And the parents did a very good job of knowing not to send their kids if their child did not feel well. All the programs were outside except for swimming. So masks were optional outside. The only one that was inside was swimming, where the kids would wear the masks into the building. Once they got onto the deck by the bleachers, right before they got into the pool, they took their mask off. Our largest program was the park program. Usually we register about 250 kids. We had to drop that down to 150 just to meet the mandates. So that didn't make everybody too happy, but our goal was to keep everybody safe. Another huge benefit was closing the park to the public from 9 to 2. I think that was a big safety issue because it was less exposure to outsiders and there was less people in the park. And that just made the park program extremely safe and manageable, just having our staff and the kids involved in there. All staff members that were not vaccinated were recommended to wear masks. So we made it throughout the whole summer. Everything went well. And I just think like one of the biggest benefits was for our kids. The kids in the community needed the social aspect of the rec programs due to all the amount of remote schooling in the past spring. And, it made it for a safe and fun summer for everybody. And it just showed that, if everybody worked together, you can get a lot accomplished. And basically, I think the summer was a success. Everything went well as planned, despite, all the COVID going on and everything, how things weren't normal. And basically, like on behalf of the rec program, I'd like to thank, Department of Health, the village board, the Warwick parents, our rec staff, and the kids. Everybody played a huge part in making it a safe and enjoyable summer. And it was a huge step to making, it was almost like normal, like it used to be for the rest of the summer. So I think everything went well. I was happy. And I think, the parents were happy and the kids were happy to get back into everything. So basically, this was obviously probably the toughest summer to prepare for, because with a lot of the unknowns, but I think it turned out to be one of the most successful summers. So if I could answer any questions, or if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Ron, I want to start out by saying you did such an extraordinary job navigating the waters and preparing for this program for this summer. And I applaud that. I mean, it was really remarkable. And of course, there was quite a relief when the Department of Health did lessen the requirements, but nonetheless, you were on top of it, and I truly appreciate it. And that, in my mind, was extraordinary leadership, and that's exactly what we needed at that point. So, thank you.
Thank you. It was, it was a challenge, but everything worked out, and like you said, with the Department of Health, lessening some of the mandates, that definitely helped out, because I know everybody, a lot of parents were pretty upset about kids wearing masks outside, and they, that became optional. So that was based upon the parents' view of that. So I think everything worked out.
Yeah. And I concur, Ron. I remember having a board meeting, early, and you had laid out a plan that was very, very detailed, and I think it gave everybody confidence in your program to go forward. And I'm sure you made a lot of people and parents happy. So
Thank
great
you.
job.
I appreciate it.
And considering sort of the challenges that we had going into the season with some flooding that happened into the rec storerooms, and you pulled it through. So thank you again.
It was a couple challenges, but I think we made a successful and safe summer for everybody. So I was happy.
Great, thank you. And onward to Halloween.
Yeah, so Halloween's coming up, and I know normally we have our Halloween parade and then a costume contest, but I know we're going to go along with the parade, which I think is the right thing to do, where we're more spread out and we could hand out bags of candy and stuff like that, and then we'll do a virtual costume contest for
That's
this
exactly
year.
what the plan is. Yes.
And then
That's on the
next year,
agenda.
next year if we get back to normal and everything's back the way it should be, then we go back to the costume contest in the big area with crowds of people.
For your knowledge and for the public to know, and it's part of the motion, the lineup will not be on Church Street, it will be on High Street. It's a much better place to start the parade because it definitely does not snarl traffic up at the Sanford Monument. So,
Okay.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing, and I want to ask you while you're here, when the parade ends, we will not be having the costume contest, but do you plan to give out goodie bags, or will the parade go into Railroad Avenue, and should we have Railroad Avenue closed for that interim period?
I was thinking, I think we started this a couple years ago. We started handing out the bags of candy at the lineup, which made it a lot easier, because then once they cross like the railroad tracks, and especially now with no costume contest, they could kind of like scatter and go on their way instead of getting a mass group of people down in the middle of the railroad tracks down there. That if we do it at the top, at the beginning of the parade, as they walk down Main Street and then cross the railroad tracks, it's kind of gonna disperse. And I think that might be the best bet, to do it that way. And then you cross the railroad tracks, that's kind of like the finish line, and then people will just go on their way and go trick-or-treating.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Lieutenant Rader today, and he's ready. So for that
hopefully
challenge.
we have nice weather, and I'm sure everything will go on as planned.
Okay. Any questions for Ron while we have him at our table? Okay, Ron. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So the second presentation we have is from the Warwick Lions Club. I believe we have 3 members of the Lions Club who are going to give a presentation on a pump track. Good evening. You are, Kaylee, you're on mute, and Ms. Benton, you're on mute as well.
Better?
Yes, yeah. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the board, and then you can begin your presentation.
Sure. Good evening. Hi, I'm Christine Adams. I'm the president of the Warwick Lions Club. I'm thankful to you, Mayor, and the trustees for giving us the opportunity to talk to you tonight about, serving the community.
You are, Kaylee, you're on mute, and Benson, you're on mute as well.
Someone may have YouTube still playing. If you could just turn that off, there won't be an echo.
Oh,
So if
sure. Good evening. Hello.
you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the board, and then you can begin your presentation.
Sure. Good evening. Hi, I'm president of the Warwick Lions Club. I'm thankful to you, Mayor, and the trustees for giving us the opportunity to talk to you tonight about, serving the community.
Kaylee, you're on mute, and Benson, you're on mute as well.
Someone may have YouTube still playing. If you could just turn that off, there won't be an echo.
Oh.
So if
Hi, I think I have it now. Am I unmuted?
you're unmuted.
Okay, so this is Erin Anderson. I also wanted to thank you for having us here to present. I am speaking on behalf of the Warwick Lions Club. We are formally requesting the installation of a pump track at Veterans Memorial Park. The track.
Thankful to you, Mayor, and the trustees.
The track location would be a short walk from the lower parking lot of the library parking lot. And it would be adjacent to the already approved skate park. My husband and I have been active members of the Warwick Lions Club for the last 15 years. And the reason why we stay so involved with the Lions Club is because they really have the best interests of our community. And that's where the pump track comes in. So in Warwick, we have a large community of bicycle riders and enthusiasts, and a pump track would provide them with a safe area to enjoy their sport, which is exactly what bike riding is. To be clear, the pump track that we're looking to install is a dirt track. It contains a series of bumped and baked turns. It loops around and allows the rider to move through the track with a minimum amount of pedaling. It would be incorporated into the natural landscape of what is already in that area. The track dimensions would be approximately 100 by 150 square feet or 15,000 square feet. Once the track is established, it needs very little maintenance. Pump tracks are inclusive to all ages and abilities, and it provides children, adults, families a place to come together. Other than a bicycle and a helmet, there's no special equipment needed, and there's no motorized vehicles permitted. So it'd be strictly bicycles. It emits little to no noise level because it is bicycles on dirt. The pump track would not interfere with the walking path that is there at all. If anything, it would draw more attention to the walking path and get more people out there using it, especially if your child or your family member is using the pump track, you can, walk around the walking path as they're doing that. Benefits of bike riding are plenty. It increases your cardiovascular fitness, your muscle strength, your flexibility. It gives you improved joint mobility, and it helps to decrease fat levels. And during these uncertain times of COVID, I'm sure that we can all agree that our mental health is just as important as our physical fitness, and bike riding, promotes mental health as well. Riding a bike reduces your stress level. It helps to lower the risk of depression. It helps with your sleep. It boosts your creative thinking and productivity, and it overall just makes you feel good. We put this out to the public. We received a tremendous amount of support and positive feedback. A lot of people are in favor of the pump track. We have Warwick residents who are interested in it. We have members of various BMX and cyclist groups who are also interested and all willing, to step up, to volunteer, to help with whatever we need. We have a local bike shop who's interested, and we also have been contacted by local pump track builders and designers who also want to have a part in this, because this is really their sport. So like some children play football and soccer, you know, people who ride bikes, they want an area to ride their bikes also. The pump track would provide a safe place for riders. It would promote physical and mental health. It would really help to beautify an underutilized area of the park. It ties right in with the approved skate park. You'd be appealing to the same group of people that would be using the skate park. It would be a valuable amenity to our community, and it's not found elsewhere in Warwick. So it's not like we'd be competing with another area in Warwick. On behalf of the Warwick Lions Club and the Warwick residents, I am asking the board to move forward and to allow us to install this pump track in Veterans Memorial Park. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have at this time.
Board members?
I have a couple questions for you, Erin.
Sure.
It's nice to see you tonight. Thank you for presenting to the board.
Thank you for
My
having
first
me.
question is, with this proposed pump track, is it possible that it be located around the perimeter of the approved new skate park?
It's not, because the way a pump track works is that it loops around on the inside of its track. So if you can almost imagine an oval shape, you know, the oval being the outer outline of the pump track, and then all within the inside is where you would have these extra loops and bumps. It would be, the proposed location that we have is adjacent to what is already there. There is tree line that we can incorporate. If we keep the natural landscape of the area, it, you know, beautifies the area, and then it also protects the track. So it gives riders shade, it protects from the weather and the elements, and it extends the life of the track.
Okay, the reason I was asking that question is because one of my concerns is the limited land space that we have in the village.
Sure.
You mentioned the track made out of dirt. Why not asphalt or concrete?
Those are much more expensive, and coming from children who are going to be riding the track, you know, that gives much more possibility for injury. It's just two different styles of track. The one that we're going for is the dirt one. We feel like it would appeal to more people. It would appeal to people who are beginning, who might not know what a pump track is and just want to get out and get some exercise. We feel like it would appeal more, you know, to a larger amount of people.
Can the pump track be used year round?
It can be, but it is weather dependent. So if we have a warm and mild winter and there's not snow on the track, absolutely, you can get out there and use it. If there's snow on the track, then no, you're not going to be able to use it.
Okay, you mentioned in your presentation that there's very little maintenance required. What's that maintenance schedule look like? Weekly, daily, monthly, yearly? And who will maintain that?
So we are hoping to model the pump track after the one that is in West Milford, which is also a dirt track. It is run by one man who actually gave the pump track. It was, you know, his gift to West Milford. He spends 20 hours a year for the entire year maintaining the pump track. Once the pump track is established, the dirt, you know, it builds itself. So as you're bike riding, you beat in that track, the track stays like that. So there would be, you know, a little maintenance, possibly mowing around the edges, which would hopefully be maintained by the park system.
Park system? Would DPW?
DPW, yes.
Okay. So do you have a guesstimate, maybe an estimate of the total cost for a project like this?
Yes, right now our goal is between $5,000 and $10,000, which the Lions Club would be funding. With, with, you know, the agreement that we are able to use that land and possibly help from DPW to possibly move dirt, or, you know, if there's the cutting of the grass. We have reached out to, or actually I should say, he's reached out to me. His name is Jim Martinez. He has a company called Get Dirty Designs. And he works basically the same way the company that built the playground works, community playground. So he would come in, he would help us design it, and then he can set us up, and we could use volunteers to build it, which would also keep the cost down. And then the community is involved in a project that is benefiting all of us.
Any special accommodations given to the design of this pump track as opposed to the West Milford track or the one that's being built in Vernon, the town of Vernon, New Jersey?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I missed the beginning.
Will there be any special accommodations for a pump track like this compared to the West Milford, New Jersey pump track, the Port Jervis pump track, or even the proposed and approved town of Vernon, New Jersey pump track?
Right. So like I said, we're going to try to model closely after West Milford because we are looking to do a dirt pump track. The proposed pump track in Vernon is going to be asphalt. The one in Port Jervis is also asphalt. So it's kind of hard to compare the two of them, especially, if you're a serious rider, a serious cyclist, they all the pump tracks ride differently. So, just being a pump track in Warwick would be accommodation in itself. People would want to come and try it out and see what it's all about. We can provide, as you know, the Warwick Lions Club has been involved in all kinds of village projects. We do, work on beautifying the area. We've kept thousands of pounds of plastic out of the environment with our recycling program, and there are benches available. So, if we needed to add extra benches in, we could work on all of that as well.
Last question.
Sure.
Why this location? Why Veterans Memorial Park?
We feel like it's a central location. If you are a village resident, it's easy enough for you to bike right to. You don't even need to, put your bike in the car. If you have multiple children or your family, you're probably already in the village doing something anyway, especially if you have kids involved in sports. Now you can kind of combine all of the sports into one, use the pump track, have your baseball game, play your football, go into town, eat, shop, visit the library. Everything is tied in together. It's accessible to more people in the village.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. There's no doubt that, biking is a great exercise, low impact. And it's good for everybody, all ages.
Yes.
I guess the big question for me is the room and in the park and how busy it is all year long, which is great. You love to see a busy park. I would I guess first question the size. West Milford, it's got to be 300 feet long. It's got to be this over the size of a football field.
No, it actually is smaller than what we're proposing.
No. I mean, I've walked around it. I mean, the whole area is much bigger than 100 feet long, 150 feet long. That's not even a football field. So, I would question the size. Number one, and again, did you say this person spent 20 hours a year on this maintenance of the park?
Yes.
I would find that difficult too. I mean, I know it's an all volunteers. When I was there was a couple volunteers there, and it's great to have the volunteer group. But again, I would be a little bit nervous about the maintenance, or whether it's from a volunteer group or our DPW group. So
yeah,
again, no problems with the exercise. It's a great program. I'm just I'm nervous about the room in the park, and Port Jervis and Westfield actually they're flat areas, obviously easier to ride particularly for the smaller kids, as opposed to Memorial Park. I mean, you have some hills up there, going behind.
Well, the area that we propose does have a gentle slope, but when you enter the pump track, you do need to enter from a higher elevation. So we would be able to design the pump track with the landscape that's there. And so where the upward slope is could possibly be where they're actually entering the pump track.
And now, just make it clear, now are the Lions prepared to do maintenance with limited help from the DPW, or what would be the arrangement?
I think, we would have to see how this moves forward. It's hard for us to, to say something before we even know what we're moving forward with. But yes, at this time, there are members of the Lions Club, there are members of the community, there are members of the bike clubs, the bike stores, the BMXers, they're all ready and willing at this time to lend a hand. They want this, as much as everyone else. Like I said, this is their sport. People that ride bikes, they don't have a place to go. There's really no safe way to get to another park if you're a cyclist. If you're a cyclist and you're in the village, it's easy to get to this location with your bike.
And I'm sure you've been asked many times, have you investigated the town park or the Coates camp, any other locations?
We have, yes, we have. And at this time, we feel like there are no other locations at those parks that would fit what we want to do. And again, we're trying to keep it, inclusive to people who are coming from all different areas of Warwick, the village being a central location, it being a busy location with people already in here. We're hoping that kids can, ride their bike right to the pump track without having to put their bike in the car. If you have a small SUV or, you're at your friend's house and you want to go bike riding, they might not be able to fit their bikes in the car. Even myself, I have 3 kids. I have a small SUV. I can't fit their bikes in the car. So we can only go to the pump track when, someone else is with me. Whereas if it was in the village, I'm close enough, we could bike right in and we'd be right on the pump track and ready to go.
Sorry, Aaron, you live in the town, correct?
I do, but I'm very close. So we would be able to bike in from where I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I see very, very, very few folks bike in the village.
Right, because there's not a safe place for them to do it. But if we install this pump track, I guarantee there's going to be people riding on that pump track every day. If you go to West Milford, it doesn't matter what time, what day of the week you're there. There are people from all ages riding their bikes. It is their community center. It is their spot to go, just like other people would go to a football game or a basketball game. Everybody at the West Milford pump track is, friendly, and they're coming from, all different areas to use this pump track. It's their amenity. It's their location. It would be the same thing in Warwick.
Well, my point was, you don't see any kids, very few kids ride their bike to the park. They get carpooled in, and that's my point.
Okay,
That's because they don't have a reason to. Once you install a pump track, that will give kids, families, a more wide range of people a chance for something different to do. I mean, I'm a 32-year-old in Warwick, and I would love to have this in Warwick.
Yeah.
I would ride my bike there every day.
No, I understand. I understand. But parents drive their kids to football games, soccer games, skate parks, baseball. I mean, you don't see people walking that much or biking into the parks. It's the parents. One of the parents' job. Again, so my point is, I think, my opinion, it's less important to have it in the center of the village versus, someplace else. I'd like to downplay that a little bit. I know the village, the park is right in the middle of the village. It's easy to get to, but everybody, the majority of the people get carpooled into the park.
Right, but they also don't have bicycles. So again, if you're carpooling and you don't have a vehicle that fits your bicycles, you're not going to be able to carpool. So that, limits the population of people who can then use the pump track if we're moving it outside of the village.
Barry, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned that I guess you had interactions with some designers of these types of facilities.
Yes,
Is the cost of the designer included in the $5,000 to $10,000 cost that the
yes, it is.
Lions Club would pay?
Yes, it is.
Have any of them been to the site to look at the proposed location?
The designer has not been to the site, but he's aware of it. He knows where it is. He's interested in the project. He's willing to come up and meet and do a site walk and, you know, meet with whoever is involved in the process. And like I said, his business is that he designs it at a low cost for the people who are putting it in. So he would work with the Lions Club and, you know, we could bring in as many volunteers as we needed to have the pump track built and installed similar to the way that the playground was done.
But the pump track doesn't really have the construction of anything other than earth moving.
Exactly, but the way that the bumps and the banks are, it is a calculated area. So
no question. Yeah, no,
okay, yeah. So
I understand
when
that.
I say, yeah, that's what I mean by building. You know, a professional needs to determine where each bump is going to be and how far it's going to be from the next one and what the, you know, the degree on the bank of the turn is going to be. So that is what the designer would work on.
Right, understood. I was thinking more of the volunteers, and they're having access to the heavy equipment that would be needed to actually move the earth. I guess you know, the playground was something that was, you know, you could give volunteers jobs. There was, you know, equipment that was needed, but nothing to the magnitude of what I would envision being needed here to actually move the earth. And then having I would assume the designer would be there with the necessary surveying instruments to make sure that his design was constructed in accordance with what he had proposed.
Yes, yes.
And then so since the designer hasn't been there, you had expressed, I believe, a desire to try and maintain trees within that area to some degree. But since no designer has really looked at it, we don't know the implications of the design relative to the trees that exist. Is that correct?
It is correct, but we do know that pump tracks can be designed around existing landscape, and that, you know, part of having a pump track is you can have a tree line or trees, you know, like I said, to help protect the track, to provide shade for the riders. And, you know, he would be willing to work with the area that is there. But yes, he would have to see it, you know, officially get out there, measure, and you know, determine which trees would be able to stay.
Yeah, I guess I would see a conflict in some instances where the trees would be an impediment to the safety of the riders. You don't want trees too close,
Exactly.
so that they might be, if they went off course a little bit, that they would result in an accident. And I guess the other thing, and I don't know at this point to whether you can speak to it or not, but
Sure.
The village resources that you would expect us to bring forth in order to create the pump track, I think we need to get a handle on that at some point early in the process.
Okay,
So that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
thank you.
Aaron, first of
Yes.
all, I want to thank the Lions Club for their continuous work in our community, which is incredible. And thank you for making this presentation this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And I also want to thank you for the generous donation to the 9/11 monument, which came out so beautifully, and it wouldn't have happened without your help. And
Thank you so much. It was our pleasure.
we truly appreciate that. I do have maybe some of the same concerns that Mr. Lindbergh has in terms of the stress level within the park. that park is extraordinary in that it attracts a lot of people. And on a summer day, it's so intense, it's so crowded. For example, I was at a fireman's function and there were numerous baseball games happening, and the skate park was at full tilt. And it was just, there was not a space, not a scrap of earth left for anything else. And it was great. It was great to see. It was great to have this incredible park. But I do have a certain fear of that stress level, especially if the skate park is as successful as we hope it will be. The one thing too is the skate park and the skate park initiative has done a tremendous amount of work and has gone through a lot of rewrites and changes to try to satisfy the needs of neighbors, and and they've designed this with the veterans in mind, that this is Veterans Memorial Park. So that is something of a part of the design inclusion. They're very conscious about the landscape and very clear that they want it to be beautiful. In some of the pictures that I've seen recently of dirt tracks, they look somewhat unkempt. They look a little, raw. And so I do have a concern about that. And then if that's the case, then it may need higher levels of maintenance, and that would probably come on us, on the back of the village. So I just wonder about that. And if there's a volunteer effort, that's fantastic. But sometimes that peters out, and I understand that as well. So that was really the questions I had. The other questions I think were asked by Corey, Barry, and Bill. And so thank you again for coming this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And George, did you have anything that you wanted to ask?
And Barry had asked about resources of the village. Mike Moja has walked that area with myself and Aaron's husband and with Bill. He didn't think it would be a tremendous effort to move some of the stuff around that had to be moved, and whatever. Some of the maintenance he thought that they could just incorporate into their normal work schedules. And right now that area is just a bunch of scrub brush with some trees sticking out of it. So I don't think anyone is looking to deforest the land. Maybe clean it up and make it even more usable than it is now, more usable than it is now, and even enhance the walking paths that's there, because you're taking away a lot of that scrub brush that's hanging out there. That's all.
Thank you, George.
Yep.
So Christine, Kaylee, Aaron, do you have anything more that you would like to say to the board?
Oh, I think we're good.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
I
Thank you,
I have many letters, some that have come to us. I will read the ones that ask to be read,
Okay.
but there are more, and those all the letters, all the correspondence that we get, especially about this project, will be put online so that you can look at that and you can read it as well. So again, thank you for your time this evening, and we'll move on to privilege of the floor, which is when I will read these letters. So
Great,
thank you
thank
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raina, are we set for the privilege of the floor? Yes, okay. So we have multiple letters The first letter, though, is on another subject, and that is, and I'll read it to the board. Dear Village Board of Warwick, New York, there is a dead village tree on Dunning Road that is within close proximity to our home as well as the neighborhood power lines. We have reached via letter on 6/2020. We've had 2 village representatives come out to look at the tree. They have declared that the tree is not the responsibility of the village. We have recently obtained a survey map from the county clearly showing all lot lines near the tree. The tree is part of the village easement/roadway. One of us visited the village hall office of Boris Rudinsky the week of 9/20/2021. We looked over the lot lines regarding the tree. This visit only confirmed for us that the tree is not on our property. We have also reached out to a tree service for an estimate on removal of the tree. The proposal came to $1,800 to cut and remove the entire tree, or $1,400 to cut down but leave wood to be removed by others, perhaps the DPW. Either option is a bargain considering the immense size and girth of the tree. Our home is located at number 13. We would like to hear from the village as soon as possible so we can address the removal of this potential hazard. Thank you, Lisa and Bill Kavanaugh, 13 Dunning Road in Warwick. And I want to just make a few comments. Because a tree is in the village's right-of-way does not mean that we always own it. And if it's a street tree that's planted by us, then we do take that responsibility. But the other thing that is very important and that the Kavanaugh say is that it is near the power lines. And so it creates definitely a hazard. And I think it would be worth reaching out to Orange and Rockland, who does a tremendous amount of tree work in our community throughout the year, and see if they would be willing to be a good neighbor. And so I think that that would be a good direction. I will do that, and then I will get back to the Kavanaughs as hopefully with a solid answer. Any comments from the board? Okay. The next letter, I'm sorry, is from Kaylee Marr, who was just on the screen. Dear members of the village board, I'm writing to you to petition that the village Halloween curfew be extended to 9 p.m. Many village residents like myself spend up to a month decorating for this amazing day, and to have a curfew too early takes away these displays being able to be fully enjoyed. Neighboring hamlets like Florida, New York have a curfew of 9 p.m. and have not had any issues. I understand that as long as a minor is accompanied by an adult, they can stay out past 8 p.m. But for those old enough to not need an adult, but under the age of 18, 8 p.m. is early. I do not think extending it by 1 hour is a huge ask. I just want to allow people more time to enjoy the decorations and of course, get more candy and have my hard work enjoyed. And I will attest to the incredible display that Kaylee does on her home. It's really beautiful. She was part of Scare the Mayor last year and she was one of the winners. But board, have your input.
What are some of the reasons for having the curfew set at 8?
I think it was based on younger children bedtime. I'm not so sure.
Has it been something that we've done for a long, long time? Anything to do with us?
Remember,
You know,
probably since the early 90s, I want to say. It was more necessary at that point in time because things got out of hand with older youth, and generally going into other neighborhoods and doing what had at that time been known as the typical things relative to the night before Halloween.
Yeah.
So I think there's good reason for it. I think the 8 o'clock curfew works and has worked. I'm not sure that extending it for 1 hour is going to make much of a difference, because what happens is the parade usually ends at what, about 5:30, I guess, or what? No, it
Yeah.
starts at 4, right?
5.
Five. Okay. So, the parade's over by 5:30 and all the paraders disperse into the neighborhoods, and, they've got a good, 2.5 hours to trick or treat. I'm not sure why they need the third hour. Certainly it's, the problems that we had in the past when this was originally enacted, we haven't experienced because of the existence of the curfew.
I think those who finish the parade and disperse into the neighborhoods surrounding the parade, but the outlying neighborhoods don't get there till much later. I mean, by the time they all go down through Welling and Oakland Court and those places, it could very easily be 7:30, 8 o'clock. I mean, that doesn't. I get 5 kids. I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah.
Not that I want 100, but
What's your address?
no. I live on Maple Avenue.
I think it's a pretty a benign request. I think that it's fine in my mind to extend it another hour. I don't think much mischief is going to happen, and I think that it's I just find that it would be okay.
I've been trying it for a year and it doesn't work. You go back to 8.
Right.
Any input from the Warwick Police? Any suggestions from them, or?
No. George, do you have any?
They don't usually make suggestions on the hour. They'll go by whatever is set. They laugh. If we're wrong, they'll tell us we were wrong, but they won't suggest what hours we choose.
The mischief would be by older kids and would begin after 9 anyway.
Probably.
Corey, do you want to chime in?
What if someone attends a party at like 7:30? Does that mean they have to be home at 8? I mean, to me, I don't see the issue with extending it an hour. Not saying I'm having a Halloween party or anything, but.
And your address is?
Maple Avenue.
Whoa. Okay. Well, we have it on the agenda tonight. Who's doing the motion?
Well, yeah, I'd like your kind of a consensus right now before I even read it. We have another discussion, so.
Well, the other option is to read it the way it is, which is probably the way it should be done, and then someone amending it to change the hour from 8 to 9.
Right.
So you're just delaying another discussion.
Well, we've kind of talked it out a bit, so.
All right. I'll read it as written.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to move forward with the many letters. And these are all letters that are in response to the presentation this evening. Of course, they were pre-presentation, so they were just more about the concept than the actuality of what was spoken tonight. Greetings. I am one of the residents of Warwick. My 2 kids go to Warwick Valley School District. We are super excited and totally in support of the pump track idea. It provides a safe place for our kids to play with their bikes. We need our elected board and mayor to help get this done for the Warwick kids. And then it's signed by kindest regards, Tamer M. Muhammad. To Mayor Newhart and the village board, I'm very concerned about the proposal for a pump track at Memorial Park. I think this type of proposal would be better addressed by the town of Warwick, perhaps at the town park. There's limited amount of open space in Memorial Park, the space that so many residents used during COVID restrictions and continue to use as a respite from the work/home/Zoom. Passive recreation space has been touted as some of the best use for open space. Furthermore, we have waited several years for the promised bocce courts. This is a better use for recreational space in Memorial Park and would benefit all residents, including innumerable senior citizens who live within walking distance of Memorial Park. And that is signed respectfully, Charlene Hirschberg. Dear members of the village board, I'm writing to you to show support for the pump track being proposed by the Warwick Lions Club. As a village resident and someone who grew up here as a kid, I can safely say I wish I had this around when I was growing up. The proposed pump track will provide kids and adults alike the activity to enjoy together. Not only is the proposed location in Veterans Memorial Park a great location, but that will provide kids an outlet and fun activity to partake. Its proximity to the sports fields is optimal for parents that have children that play sports as well as children that do not. While one child is having practice or a game, the other can enjoy the pump track nearby. Having the pump track in the village will allow users to ride their bikes to the track and not have to drive, and having an abundance of cars parked at the park or the library. Since the proposed track will be dirt, it will not require a great deal of upkeep and will not be costly to maintain. There are similar tracks in the surrounding areas, and they have had a positive response from the community and have provided an added benefit. Anything that gets families outside and away from screens is a great idea. Pump tracks do not require special bikes or anything with a motor, so it does not produce any noise other than laughter and conversation between friends and families. Pump tracks are inclusive to all ages, skills levels, and abilities. You do not have to go to be a pro and to enjoy. This will also provide its users with great exercise. I hope you will strongly consider this for the benefit of the community, as it would be a great addition that I'm very excited about and would love to use. And that is signed from Kaylee Marr. Hello, I'm writing to share my gratitude to the Warwick Lions Club for their unending service and generosity to our community, and to ask the board to approve the pump track. Pump tracks provide a structured recreational opportunity for people of all ages, from my 4-year-old pictured here on the first time at a pump track, to teenagers, to adults, to help them expend energy and build fitness. The location of the site is perfect and will not disrupt existing uses in the area. There is no noxious noise except the sounds of conversation and joy. I've been to others and observed how they are used. The pump track will contribute to our community's walkability and bikeability. We will no longer have to drive 20 minutes for the same benefit. We can simply bike there, and we'll hope our children build skills that are not very safe to try to build elsewhere in the village. We do not have bike lanes, and our neighborhood is not safe for our children to bike in because of people speeding, which is a separate issue in our neighborhoods that we must address. Knowing our children have a safe place like this, free of the risk of cars and pedestrian, to bike will therefore also provide peace of mind. In short, such an addition will only increase the value of our community to our existing children, teens, and adults who need more opportunities to constructively stretch their legs. Please allow it to proceed. Thank you to the village in advance, and thank you very much to our Lions Club.
Who was that by, Michael?
Yes?
Who was that by?
I'm so sorry. And that was from Carly Foster.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to state my support of the pump track being generously sponsored by the Lions Club. The proposed location is ideal, nestled between Memorial Park and the Albert Wisner Library, both of which are already important destinations for work families. The benefit that a pump track would provide for people of all ages as a fitness opportunity right in the village that is outdoors and safe from traffic are immeasurable. My daughter is 7 and we live in the village. Work is a valley, we all know that, We relish in the sweeping mountainous views and the spectacular sunsets of our neighborhoods nestled in the side of prehistoric mountains, but my daughter cannot safely ride her bike there. Driving through town, I regularly see teenagers riding bikes down the street and practicing tricks, which they naturally want to do and should do as they explore their rapidly expanding bodies and skill sets. There are no truly safe places for them to do this. With New Jersey transit buses barreling through our town and ever-increasing traffic congestion, I'm constantly fearful for our safety or for their safety. Adults and aging adults who consider availing themselves of the pump track would reduce hypertension, prevent weight gain, and improve muscle tone. They could alleviate depression, anxiety, and reduce isolation and loneliness. Would it be too much to hope for that socialization occurs across a multi-generational divide? Perhaps, and perhaps not. If we have an accessible, shared, free outdoor community space where commonalities can be nurtured, anything is possible. The pump track would provide this for anyone willing to experience it. Last but certainly not least, I will take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for the Lions Club. Their commitment to the Warwick community is simply above and beyond. It is the quintessential characteristic that makes Warwick the place that it is. Thank you very much to Mayor Newhart and the Village Board for your time in hearing my comments. And that's from Christina Garitano Hoti. And the next is our comments from the Warwick Grove HOA. And I believe that Mr. Humphrey is here to speak to the board.
Would you like me to let him in now?
Hello, Don. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks, Mr. Mayor and village trustees for giving me some time. Just wanted to say that I represent the Warwick Grove Homeowners Association. I am the recently elected president. And just on the topic of the pump track, to let you know that I have not found any residents that are strongly in support of the pump track. In fact, a couple of residents have approached me and they were opposed to the pump track. They want pickleball courts and they want bocce courts. The board itself and myself would recommend to the village trustees that you would, I think instead of a piecemeal approach that somebody is looking for this or that or the other thing, it would probably be a better idea to have like a master planning committee for the park where you can get a cross representation of residents to sit on a committee and kind of plan out the final vision of what the park could look like, rather than, bits and pieces and, an add on here and an add on there. I think that would probably be the best way to go. Maybe next year or, this year you could set up a master plan commission, and together as a community, people could put together their ideas and come up with the best way the park should be set up. The only other thing I'll mention is I am a biker. I no longer ride in the village because I had too many close calls. I put a hitch on the back of my car and I take my bike up to the Heritage Trail or the Wickham Woods Park. So I find it hard to believe that a lot of people are just going to start riding their bikes through the streets of the village to get to Veterans Memorial Park. Forester Road, it's narrow. There's a lot of traffic there. So I don't know that that's really going to be how things pan out. But I do think that if you planned it out, the whole park in its entirety, with various different residents of different demographics, that may be the way to go. So that's all I have to say on behalf of Warwick Grove community. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Don. I appreciate you coming aboard this evening and talking to the board. Thank you.
Definitely want pickleball courts.
I believe there's going to be some created up at the Coots Camp, from what I hear as well. But, you know, we have the ones in Park Ave. But we'll look at that as well. I just want to get the bocce courts done. That would be a great step. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have one letter left to the village board. I'm new in Warwick. I'm sorry. I'm new in Warwick. I moved to Warwick because of its beauty and green space. I read in the recent Hook magazine about the farms bought by the town. I quote, regardless of the direction into which you enter the village of Warwick, there's a feeling of peacefulness that washes over you. It's the physical barrier of fields and pastures that you pass as much as anything else that lets you know that you're entering a quiet, pleasant part of New York State. One of my favorite things to do every day is walk in Memorial Park. It's beautiful. People walk their dogs, small groups walk and talk. It doesn't matter whether I walk in the morning or afternoon. It is a well-loved place close to nature. I'm disturbed to hear that a pump track is being considered for this location. I assume the proposed pump track will be somewhere like that in West Milford. I took a ride over to it this past Saturday so I could see what it looked like. I would suggest everyone do this. These are my observations. It was ugly. There is just nothing else to say about a combination of dirt, grass, and weeds. It is built in an area of town maintenance and playing fields, far from walking paths and housing. It looks like its look don't bother anyone. There are 2 boys and a dad at the track and 2 boys leaving when I arrived, all between the ages of 3 to 8. Since the hills and the track are small, it seems to appeal to younger kids who need to be transported by cars. I would have thought more would use it on a weekend. So I'm disappointed that you would want to put something ugly in an area where people from hundreds of homes in Homestead Village and Warwick Grove walk and enjoy its peace and beauty. It is difficult to put a value on a sloping green lawn or measure the well-being values to individuals who use it. But nature is valuable because it is beautiful. Based on your commitment to preservation of land, I hope you will consider putting the pump track elsewhere. Rosemary Coslet. So that is the last of the letters and commentary to the board. So we will move on to motions. And Barry, would you begin?
Motion to hire Justin Trone to the position of full-time laborer at a salary of $18 per hour in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with a start date to be determined by DBW Supervisor Michael Moser.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the proposal from Barton and LaJudas DPC to provide professional services for the pursuit of affordable financing for the water system improvements through the NYSEFC WIIA program and authorize the mayor to amend the existing professional services agreement for those services at a lump sum cost of $9,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the proposal from Real Term Energy US LP dated August 18th, 2021 for professional services for the LED street lighting conversion project and authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Real Term Energy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to grant permission to the Village of Warwick Recreation Department to hold a Halloween parade on Sunday, October 31st, 2021. Line will be at 4:30 on High Street. The parade will start at 5 p.m. and proceed down Main Street to Railroad Avenue. Warwick Police have been notified and will assist with the event.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to close Oakland Court, Welling Avenue, Orchard Street, west of Elm Street on Sunday, October 31st, 2021, from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And also close High Street from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on October 31st, 2021.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay.
just a question, if we're going to extend the curfew to 9, should the closure of these streets also be extended till 9?
I think so. I believe just for housekeeping, it keeps it clear and simple if it's
So
across
I
the
would move
board.
to amend the motion to change 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I know, I guess I know the answer to motion 6. Make a motion to impose a Halloween curfew for all persons under the age of 18 unless accompanied by a parent or a guardian on all village streets and parks and other public areas in the village of Warwick between the hours of 9 p.m. on Saturday, October 30th to 6 a.m. on Sunday, October 31st, 2021. And again on Sunday, October 31st from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Monday, November 1st, 2021.
Second.
You made the changes then, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to approve the budget modification and transfer request as per the village treasurer's memo dated September 27th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adapt the Village of Warwick Memorial Policy effective October 4th, 2021. And I can, somebody wants a second, I can explain a little bit to you.
Second.
I do have something I'd like to add, but go ahead.
Sure.
Bill.
The village has received, many requests for memorials, whether they are trees and or benches. And we did not have a standard policy for that. So I'm introducing one tonight. The actual memorials are for benches and trees, along with a possible marker for the tree and a plaque for the bench. We have an application process you will find with the village clerk or on our website. The memorial would be for someone who resided in the village or for a portion of their life. And the location of the tree and all the particulars will be reviewed by a memorial review committee of 4 folks. There's 2 types of memorials. One is a tree, and in the policy, in the application, we identified 18 approved trees. And if you would like, we have a holly bronze marker. It's 12 inches by 6.5, and there's up to 4 lines of text if you order a marker for the tree. And the other memorial would be a particular bench, and there'll be a particular bench per park. And that's part of the motion that I'll read. And if you would like, there's a holly bronze plaque for that, a little bit smaller, 7 inches by 2.25, and there's 3 lines of text if you order a plaque. The village will purchase all the trees, all the benches, and the plaques and the markers. Village will make every effort to maintain, but obviously won't be responsible for nature damage from vandalism. There are fees for each. There's an application fee. There's a fee for the trees, the benches, the marker, and the plaques. They'll be payable to the village. So what is in your package is the memorial policy, generally speaking, and then there's an application in your package for either a bench and plaque if you like, and then also a tree, and if you like, also a marker for the tree. In discussing with Barry, the third line of either the marker or the plaque, we had limited to 8 characters. We're going to review that. We'll review that to put more spaces for dates, birth dates, etc.
So
So,
Bill,
yes.
I was hoping under the list of approved trees, we could add this, just because it's, once this becomes like a, the policy, it's sometimes hard to change. So if we could
Okay.
add, this list may be modified from time to time by the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay.
That
Sure.
gives a little bit more room, if there's a different type of tree that somebody wants or that the Shade Tree Commission is looking to.
Okay, no, excellent. We do the review committee for the benches and the trees. It would be the mayor, the village park liaison, the DPW supervisor, and the shade tree commissioner. So they would be in on those decisions. But good suggestion. The markers, either the markers or the bench plaques we will be ordering them through Etched in Time. You won't be able to bring your own marker.
Okay, any more questions from the board?
To the application fee for trees or benches when there's no other application fees for use of parks or anything else that we do.
Well, it's a good question, George. It's basically there's going to be, we are going to be planting the trees and maintaining them. We'll also be doing the benches. So I don't know if it's kind of a over and above type of cost that it's somebody that wants a special memorial versus not having it one. Just kind of helps cover.
The person who wants the memorial is paying for the tree and or bench. They're paying for the plaque. So why is the application fee being charged for someone who wants a memorial and we don't charge application fees for everything else that we do? I'm not saying we shouldn't charge for everything else that we do, but why are we specifying that this one has an application fee when those things you just mentioned really have nothing to do with the application fee? They're part, the purchase is being paid by the person, the plaque is being paid for by the person. DPW would plant the tree regardless of how the policy was written, if it had a application fee or not, because someone's donating the tree or the bench. We're just charging someone to fill out paperwork.
Well, all good points, George. I looked at quite a few towns and cities that have the same process, and on a consistent basis, they had an application fee.
That doesn't make it right.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just telling you, the research. Okay.
George, I love you.
Then I just think that if we're going to charge an application fee, all of our permits that we give should have an application fee. We should be fair at everybody across the board, or not charge everybody across the board. Charging one person that's donating something to the village has no more paperwork involved than someone applying to use the pavilion. It's an application that they're filling out and someone is accepting. You're just charging someone more because they want to memorialize somebody who passed away.
Well, the only thing I can say is we are marking up the cost of the benches a small amount, and as I mean a small amount. And again, we will be responsible for planting the tree, preparing the site for the benches, the maintenance of it. So, just another way to break even, so to speak. So if we want to get rid of the application fee, then I would suggest raising the price of the benches and the trees. We've got to cover the costs. So either way,
You already marked up the cost of the benches and probably marked up the cost of the trees. So
absolutely, I did. Absolutely did, to cover the cost of maintaining the trees and the benches. shouldn't be. It's what it is.
Well, then charge more for the bench and charge more for the tree, but don't charge someone to fill out a piece of paper.
So we have a motion, and I don't see any problem with doing it that way, but it's, maybe we need to have that to be determined.
I don't see a problem, George, with an application fee. I really don't.
Obviously you don't, Bill.
Huh?
I said, obviously you don't see a problem because that's how you wrote it. So,
Right. Well, and I've
But-
also looked at other places, and again, not that it means anything to Warwick, but seems to be the way that most towns have decided, or villages have decided to do it.
now you have a motion in a second, you should call the question.
Just a question, if someone makes application and the committee decides that they can't come to an agreement as to what's going to happen with it, so there's basically an impasse, and the person who submitted the application fee or the application and paid the fee, would that be refundable if it didn't go forward? Or is it a non-refundable application fee?
I mean, I would, well, I mean, in our thinking, that would be a perfect reason to get refunded. I mean, that's, again, it's part of the application process.
I think that the application fee would be there as kind of a, you know, you really, if you're going to put down the $50, you need to be serious about what you're doing. So I would think that it would minimize the number of frivolous applications that we might get. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with leaving it with the application fee. And also to George's point, maybe we need to consider other applications that the village requires, and looking at whether those would benefit from having a fee also, just from the standpoint of the time it takes in village resources to process this information and you know, make decisions relative to whether it's acceptable or not.
Good point.
Corey, any thoughts?
I see an issue with charging an application fee for the time being and then maybe reviewing that policy down the road.
Okay, so we have a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Me down as a nay.
Make a motion to amend the Village of Warwick schedule of fees to include the heading memorial benches effective October 4th, 2021 as follows. Type of fee: memorial bench application fee, $50. Memorial bench plaque fee, $150. That we have identified each park. Stanley Deming Park is going to be the World's Fair model. Cost with the back of the bench, $1,500. Without back, $1,300. Stanley Deming Park would be the playground material, and you would contact Warwick Playground Dreams. Memorial Park is the World Fair model bench with back, $1,500. Without back, $1,300. Hallowed Ground, again, World's Fair model bench with back, $1,500. Without back, $1,300. Lewis Woodlands Park would be a rustic and price be determined made to order. Railroad Green, the World's Fair model bench with back, $1,500. Without back, $1,300. Village Streets, the World's Fair model with back, $1,500. Without back, $1,300.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Me down as a no.
Make a motion to amend the Village of Warwick schedule of fees to include the heading memorial trees effective October 4th, 2021 as follows. Memorial tree application fee, $50. Memorial tree marker fee, $400. Memorial tree fee, $400.
Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Put me down as no.
Make a motion to adopt the Village of Warwick Cyber Security Guide and policies effective October 4th, 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to amend the existing management service agreement for professional services between the Village of Warwick and TCG Solutions dated March 1st, 2021, to add a monthly charge of $150 for errors and omissions insurance coverage and 18 online web portal email accounts at a cost of $8.50 each, decrease the number of hosted email accounts from 17 to 19 at a cost of $10 each, and reduce the number of Sophos devices from 39 to 20 at a cost of $8 each, with a total monthly service charge increase of $171 per TCG Solutions, proposal dated September 28th, 2021.
Second, discussion.
Okay.
I think that maybe I'll just put it out. I'll make a motion to amend to include that the contract or the master services agreement be reviewed by the village attorney prior to the mayor signing.
I have no problem with that.
Second that.
Okay.
Since you made it as an amendment, right?
Yes.
You have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to grant permission to Stacy Cordero to use the Pavilion and Memorial Park on Saturday, October 9th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. to hold a birthday party, including the use of electricity, restrooms, tables, and chairs. All activities must be in accordance with the Orange County and New York State Departments of Health. Completed park permit, proof of proper insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to grant permission to Fit Body Boot Camp to use the pavilion and the surrounding grassy area Memorial Park for outdoor fitness classes from October 5th, 2021 to November 15th, 2021. During the following times, Monday through Fridays from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., including the use of pavilion lights. Availability is subject to change based on further applications to use the pavilion. All activities must be conducted in accordance with Orange County and New York State Departments of Health. Completed park permit, proof of proper insurance, security deposit, and facility use fees have been received.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
I guess, could I just discussion first?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I've got a concern about this. I mean, I realize it's only at this point 6 weeks, but it does tie up the use by others of the pavilion. Is there any thought given to whether or not we might be able to have, I guess if we had another application come in for during these times to be able to honor that and ask the this Fit Body Boot Camp to either change their hours or do elsewhere?
Raina, would you chime in because you had the most recent conversation?
Yeah, actually, in Rich's letter, he was sure to include that in his letter. He says that he's aware that certain events take place during the year that may overlap, and he has no problem canceling on those days, which is why the motion was written the way it is. The availability is subject to change based on further applications to use the pavilion.
Okay, thank you.
When COVID was more in effect, we had a couple of people, him being one of them, who wanted to use the pavilion because gyms were closed. Those facilities are open. Why doesn't he use his own business?
Well, that's a good question. And right now we're in the throes of rewriting our facilities use permit because there are basic loopholes with this. And really, there is nothing in our code that talks about commercial activities happening, and really there should be. So it's basically clarifying that, and I think this will be the end of any kind of commercial activity unless there's a situation like COVID again. So. Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Everything from them.
Make a motion to approve the proposed outside user agreements for central sewer service and central water sewers service requested by Pioneer Farm LLC for the Pioneer Farm subdivision property located at Carroll Drive, Warwick, New York, and to appoint Pittenagaro and Deutsch Consulting Engineers PC as the Village of Warwick engineer for this application.
Second. Discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I've got kind of an overriding concern, and that is that basically, in addition to connecting water and sewer to these two properties that were created through a subdivision done in the town, these two properties are basically going to receive all village services, including, extra police protection, snow removal, road maintenance to reach their driveways. And they're not paying the full freight of village taxes because they're in the town. And I can think of only one other property in the village where this is also the case, and that's on Clinton Street Extension. And so, I'm a little concerned that that this is, basically an easy way out to get all the village services but not pay village taxes.
But Barry, to that point, what about the all the homes along Colonial Avenue, Kings Highway? They are outside water users. They're not in the village. And so I guess they get the same perks, but they also pay a premium for water and sewer. So
well, they don't get sewer.
I'm sorry,
but they don't get sewer, but the premium that they pay is the additional amounts that they pay are used to offset the fact that they don't pay the land tax for water and sewer or water, which the village residents pay. That's the basis under which those rates were increased to outside water users. Again, this is, something that does exist in the village elsewhere. The subdivision's been approved by the town. So, it just seems like it may be well beyond our ability to change it at this point in time. And, I don't know whether, looking into the possibility of a pilot agreement for these properties and how that might work, but I just kind of like to see where the benefits that they're receiving, that they're they're paying for those benefits.
how would a pilot agreement be set up? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but that seemed to be, came to my mind as being an alternative. I don't know whether we can have a pilot agreement between the village and a property that's outside the village. So,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it was something that came to my mind as an alternative to annexation of the properties, because
Right.
that's the only other way that we would get them. And really, there's no way we can force an annexation. The property owner has to request that. But once we give them water and sewer, there's no further discussion. Or yes, no.
But
water and sewer, there's no
also,
further discussion.
I guess the question came up about annexation. So if this parcel of land was to be annexed to the village, then they would have the ability to subdivide it with greater density. Because they would now, be able to, instead of the town zoning, which is 3-acre lots, now they have the ability to do half acres or a quarter acre. And so you would have a much larger footprint of homes and more people. So I don't know, it would change. That would be, I think, have greater impact on the neighborhood.
I mean, it's a quiet dead end street. It's, I'm sure the residents would like to see it remain a dead end street, but to your point, they'd probably prefer 2 houses versus 6.
Is
I
there a
also would
map?
prefer people paying what they should be paying.
Sorry, George, I didn't hear you.
They would also prefer that new residents in new places being built pay the same fair share that they're paying as far as property taxes for the services. Why would we, if we give them sewer and water, there's no need for them to annex to the village. They have all the services they would possibly need, and everybody else is footing the bill for them.
One of the reasons why I think that they wanted to connect to water and sewer is because of the lay of the land. As we know, that entire area is wet, and it may be very difficult to do the wells and to do septics in that particular part of the village.
Not to sound mean and nasty, but it's not our property, and it's not our problem for a developer who has an issue with their land for sewer and septic. That's why they want the benefit of the water and sewer from the village, but they're not paying any taxes for it. And that's not fair to the other 8,000 residents in the village of Warwick.
Well, the only way I can see where it would be possible would be to increase the out of village water use again.
It's only going to help pay for substitute the land tax that they wouldn't be paying for the upkeep of the water and sewer systems, not any other services they would receive.
Well, I don't know. I guess maybe further analysis, if someone wants to, make an analysis of what amount of tax these people should be paying us and figure out a way that they can pay it.
I remember vaguely when Ms. Newman gave her presentation, that was at least, got to be a couple of years ago. I know it was in person. Was this exactly what she was asking, to be given this service from the village?
I believe so.
But I agree with Barry and George that if we do it, I think we need a little bit more research.
And George, to your point that it's not our problem, in essence, it's our environment. And so if they move forward and do septics in a place that is environmentally sensitive, I don't think that's such a great,
I don't think they would,
no.
because the first homeowner that has a problem after their house is built with having their septic back up because of the grades or because they're wet is going to complain to everybody and probably stop the rest of the building just because no one else is going to buy there. But to give them services of the village is not fair to any resident of the village. They want the sewer and water to avoid the problem you're talking of, but they want it for free, basically, because the homeowner is going to pay for the water use, not the developer. So the only person with benefiting is the developer, and that's not our job. That's not our responsibility. That's nowhere in our fiduciary responsibility to do as a village board to benefit the developer by giving them water and sewer and not being paid anything for the rest of the services. The homeowner is going to foot that bill, not the developer.
Can I suggest we table this for at least until the next meeting in order to do further study?
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Because I need more analysis and a greater understanding that we would be allowed to charge or, come up with some kind of maybe even intermunicipal agreement that would cover those costs. So, yes.
It would be more people saying no to the motion instead of tabling it. They can always come back and with another proposal. If we table it, again, they get the impression that, yeah, we're going to figure out a way for them.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily true.
I don't know that we have, from my point of view anyway, I don't know that I have enough information to actually say no. And I don't know what our options are. I think they need to be pursued with the village attorney in this matter. And that's the reason I suggested that we table instead of vote on it. And there's nothing that says if we vote on it and vote no tonight, the same thing can't come back and be voted on again. So I don't see the benefit of voting on it tonight. I think table's the correct way to go.
Continue.
Okay. So could I have a motion to table this motion?
I believe I made that. I'll
You
make a
did?
motion
Okay.
to table.
Okay.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No addendums? I guess that final comments from the board members?
I just
I
would
don't have
question
anything this evening.
I'm sorry, I would just question how we proceed in telling the Lions and giving them some type of answer. We're gonna review more, we're gonna talk more, or we're gonna tell them no. I mean, I'd like to know what we're doing.
I don't know if the board is ready to make that determination tonight, George.
Are we gonna keep it alive and have a further conversation? Or are we just gonna, kill it and I'm not saying we need to vote yet. Yes, we're gonna go with it.
Right.
Or, are we gonna go, pursue any further discussion or review or get more details or?
Well, I think that each board member presented some, either positives and or concerns. I think it's up to maybe the Lions Club to take that information and to define the project. I mean, right now it's sort of in my mind, it's conceptual. There's no design. There's no, it's not clear exactly where it's going to be put. So I think that it feels like it's really at a beginning stage.
Well, that's an answer. That's okay. I'm okay with that answer. Did they need to come back and address things that were said tonight?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think it also behooves us to have a discussion on it. We had a presentation tonight. We reacted to the presentation with questions. Some of those questions were answered, some weren't. To the extent that the Lions can come back to us with answers to some of those questions, I think would be beneficial prior to our having a discussion. But I certainly think it bears the board having an open discussion during a meeting.
I know that's kind of what I needed to hear,
Right. And one thing I didn't really mention, and George, maybe you could bring this back to Aaron. I really believe that they should reach out to this skateboard initiative and get their take on it as well, because they're going to be, if it is in that place, then there'll be close quarters, there'll be neighbors. So I think it's important that there be that dialogue, that discussion happening too. Okay. Anything else from the board? We have a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Night, everybody.